So we just want to start moving very gently. A sense that my legs are really in control. It's not my mind telling my legs what to do. This leg is scooping at the ground. Something in the hip opens up and the leg pulls the ground in. Imagine you're climbing a rope. So you'd reach one hand up and then you'd pull down, reach the other hand up, pull down. So you'd be pulling the rope towards your center, and that would be moving your body along the rope. Same sense here. I'm using my foot to grab the ground and pull it towards my center, and that gets me moving towards the foot. So the basic action of the human being is to reach out and bring things in towards it. First act of the child is to reach for the breast and pull it towards its mouth. And we just want to feel the purity, the truth of the emotional profile of the action. So if you're going to reach out for something, you'd have to have an interest in that thing. Otherwise, what would be the point? So there'd be a sense that your eyes would be sort of expanding as your hand reached towards the object. And then as you clasped it, there'd be a sense of satisfaction and achievement. And then as you pulled it in, you'd become inquisitive as to what actually it is. It's the same here. My foot is reaching like the hand that's reaching out. Something in me has to expand, to extend myself to the foot, and then I grasp, and then I draw it towards me. We're using the body in Tai Chi to try and get to the mind, especially the motivational mind. I'm not exercising in order to get fit or any of that. I'm using the body to try and look at the mind in its real purity, to look at energy really. Something in me reaches. It's not just my hand is preceded by the interest of my mind. My mind expands, the hand flows out, and then the hand can pull in. And then just to riding horse. So central equilibrium. I have to make sure that when I become still, when my body stops moving, I don't use that as an excuse for my mind to start thinking about something else. My mind is very much with the process, with the flows that are balanced to create this illusion of stillness. So I'm feeling gravity pulling me down. There's a sense of something flowing down through my body. I have to become porous to energy. I don't just feel a general force yanking at my body and pulling it down. I open up so there's a sense that energy can flow down through me. The energy takes a pathway that is very particular to my structure. So we want to personalize our relationship with the natural world, and in a sense, depersonalize our relationship with the human universe. So John always used to say, you know, when you're dealing with another person, take nothing personally. But when you're dealing with nature, with the real world, everything is personal. So here I'm feeling the gravity like a liquid that's just percolating through my body. And then I want to feel the opposite to that. And again, I don't want to feel the pushing up as simply being me holding some situation in order to withstand this constant drain down. In the same way that the down is filtering through and finding as many little channels through the body as possible. So the driving up, which is my strength, but it's not just a general strength of the legs straightening. It's like a wriggling. It's like the energy is trying to wriggle up all of these pathways and through the body, down the arms, into the fingers. It's very much like organic growth. You think like a little seedling. My dad used to plant runner beans, you know, when we were kids. And I used to think it was just a miracle. You know, you see this little shoot coming out of the ground and instantly it would be coiling around the cane. So there's a sense that something is coiling up like an ivy that's slowly climbing its way up your body and into your body. So we just want to feel those. You know, how does it make you feel when you allow these energies to operate upon you? And now let's just try just the circuit. Really just feeling the flow down through the body, feeling it splitting at the sacrum and down the legs into the ground. And then it's like a mist. It's like a process of evaporation and precipitation. So here there's like a mist rising from the ground. And then it goes up above my head and forms like a cloud. And then that cloud precipitates, it's raining down me. That rain trickles down my legs, soaks into the ground, and then it can evaporate again. So what makes it energy is the fact that your mind is seeing it. It's your imagination and your intention. Without those two qualities, there's no energy. Not Tai Chi energy anyway. So energy is the flow of intention. And intention, really, it's just like you've set something up. You've set up a process, and then you just keep it going. It's like a plan. And if my mind forgets it and thinks about something else, then the plan is ruined. The energy has gone and you have to start it all over again. So my intending mind sets up the circuit, sets up the energy, which subjects my body to this flow. So I have to feel those two aspects, the active aspect, which is the aspect of my mind that's producing this circuit, and then the passive aspect of my body that's just allowing this drenching to take place. And then just turn a little bit. So as you bring the arms up, turn to the side, and as you let the energy down through your body, turn back to the front. So here my feet are pushing apart. And then here my feet are gently pulling towards each other. Back to lying horse. Make sure it's relaxing across the sacrum. And then let's just take it the other way. So bringing the energy up now. And then it falls down all around you. Each foot is gathering energy from the ground, sucking it up, driving it up the torso, down the arms, and then out of the hands. So your legs are like two thick roots, sucking nutrients up the body. Yeah, so this is going against gravity, so you actually need to do a lot more. You need to suck in the belly in order to draw the energy up the inside of the legs. And let's just pause it in riding horse a sec. Feel the equilibrium. So the down, gravity, which we can't avoid, and then our own sucking at the ground and driving up through the body. Phrase that always occurs to me is that beautiful line of Dylan Thomas, the force that through the green fuse drives the flower. So it's like when you see a flower blooming, you almost sense the surge up from the root through the stem, down the branch to the flower. It's the same here. There's a sense that you're coming into bloom, and that's only possible because you're drawing from the ground, you're sucking at the ground. And let's just try this one where we bring the energy up by sinking down. On the first one that we did, when we did this is more like a passive exercise in the sense that what's happening to my body is passive. I'm being drenched by gravity and it's slowly pulling me down to the ground. Now, I want to get the up, sucking up through my legs. So what we don't want to do is to get a sense of sucking at the ground by straightening the legs, because it will suck at the ground, but then it will stop. So what I want to do is bend my legs in order to suck the ground. So I'm bending my legs to actively pull me down. So I'm bending my legs, and that's drawing something up the legs and into the down chin. And then I can just relax that, go against it, and just let the energy down. So it's much more like a pump, like one of those water pumps, and you crank it and it sucks the water from the ground. So here I'm using my legs like suction pumps. Here I'm sucking something from the ground, and then I just let it drain back down again. So this is where we really have to feel the hamstrings, not just the hamstrings, but the whole line from the foot, up the calf, up the hamstring, across the hips and into the down chin. So I'm shrinking that line in order to suck energy up it. And then I just let the line relax and expand. And then I can shrink it again to suck more energy up. So I'm actively bending the leg. I'm really tightening my hamstring in order to suck myself down. It's a lot easier to feel if you just do one at a time, or just let one kick in just a little bit before the other one. And it's very much like a pump. I'm only coming up so that I can go down again, because it's on the down where I actually draw the energy up. So here I've drawn up as much as I can, and then I need to come back up again so I can suck down again. And we're just back to riding horse. So feel the equilibrium. So as much as it being an equilibrium between a flow down and a sucking up, it's an equilibrium between a passive and an active. So the down is very much like a passive action. I can't avoid gravity. But the sucking up, the energy that's surging up, I have to really make that happen. It will happen as a consequence of gravity, but it won't be the same. So I have to be really active and almost struggling with my own weight so that I can get this energy coiling up through my body and then expressing down the arms. It's very much a living energy, the energy that comes up. And now let's work on the equilibrium between the two turns. So when I'm standing here like this, my response to the outside world is to turn. This is Tai Chi. Turning is the most important thing in Tai Chi. So let's say I'm going to use my left hand. And it's the same as when we were pulling with the feet, really. So something is there in front of me. I can think of it as something that's coming in towards me to attack me. Or I can simply think of it as something that I'm interested in. So what's my first response? My first response is to extend in order to make contact. And that will turn you this way. So if I'm going to make contact with my left hand, I need to extend my left hand forwards. So I turn in order to move this hip forwards, and that sends the hand forwards. And then I bring the thing in towards me. I turn, making this hip move the other way. So I turn the hip back. And now I'm bringing that object which I've clasped towards me. Very, very simple. Let's try the other one. So I just reach, and then I bring the object towards me. And again, what we want to feel is the emotion, the feeling, the something that happens in your heart and in your spirit. So if there's something there that I'm really interested in, or that's really interested in me, that needs to be like a flash, a spark that leaps out of me in order to make contact. That's the spirit. So the spirit leaps out, the energy follows, the hand follows, and then I start bringing it in. So this real sense that your spirit, your interest, is leading your body. Something is going out and it's already coming back in before my hand has even got there. So this is really important. Otherwise, your Tai Chi will just have this look of being mechanical. I want it to be really lively. Something leaps out of me in order to make contact, like I'm throwing a lasso and I'm looping it around the object that I'm interested in. And then I draw it towards me. So in order to yield, or in order to reach out and bring something in, I have to turn to extend towards the object, and then I turn to bring the object in. So there's two turns. And then we want to start to feel the other side of the body. So when I reach forwards and then yield the object in, there comes a point where the emptying of my left side here is filling my right side. So this can be used to attack or to really get involved. So I really want to feel how the attack just naturally grows out of the turn for the yield. If I continue the yielding turn, that becomes the attacking turn of the other side of the body. And what I have to be really careful of is that it doesn't just become a mechanical exercise like this, because when it just becomes this, doing one side, doing the other, doing one side, doing the other, then you tend to forget the very beginning of the exchange, which is your spirit leaping out. We have to make sure that we start and we finish before we then start the next one. So something in me flies out, and then I yield, and then I attack here. And now this can now become the next bit. So something has to fly out again in order to yield, and then attack, and then fly out. So at the beginning of an exchange, there's like a little explosion. Something in me has to spark and fly out of my body. And it is very much like the compassionate mind that's just trying to get behind the back of the object you're interested in. Here, something in me has to really reach out. But the most important part of the posture in Tai Chi is always the beginning. How well do you connect to the energy that's coming in? If you get that right, then the rest of it has a chance of succeeding. If you get that bit wrong, then it will just be rough, and you'll have to resort to technique and cleverness, and it won't feel connected. You won't have this sense of satisfaction, and neither will the other person. Yes, it's like something dances out of me. Now let's just bring it back to riding horse. So riding horse is just our posture of equilibrium, central equilibrium, where we feel the balance of forces. So coming back to gravity, which has to be balanced by something, and I want it to be balanced by something that's really organic and lively. And that's this sense of something coiling up And then I have these two turning tendencies. So something is drifting to the left, like something is falling away here. And then similarly, something is falling away to the right. So as I'm standing here, I have this up and down. But I also have this feeling of something, almost like, you've just sort of, something just falls. It's something, there's a sense of something falling and moving backwards. And then let's try and feel the third of the equilibria. A tendency for you to fall backwards, but like you're going to just fall to sleep. You're sort of standing here and you know there's a really soft mattress behind you, so it doesn't matter if you fall backwards. And this sense that, like when you're falling asleep, what happens when you fall asleep? Something in you lets go. You just, and the next moment you're asleep. So I want that feeling that something in me is falling backwards, is drifting off to sleep endlessly. So there has to be another part of me that keeps me awake. And that's really just my spirit looking into the future, looking into the distance. So my eyes are a little bit interested. I just want to feel those really in balance. I need to have this sense that I'm drifting off, that I'm falling asleep. And that needs to be balanced by this reaching of my spirit into the distance in front of me. I was watching a clip of Rupert Spira, I quite liked, and he was trying to, tell the students, with the sort of consciousness, that sort of awareness that we need, like an awareness that's before you, before any sense of subject or ego. And he just said, just feel how it is when you drop off to sleep. There's something you just let go. You just let go and sleep engulfs you. And then you're asleep. He says, so just do that, but don't fall asleep. And all the students are sort of looking at him, and for him it's simple. Of course, for them it's not, but it's beautiful. So we've got the up and the down. The down is very much almost like you've given up, you've just let go, and gravity is just pulling you down. And then against that, you have this really organic, twisty, turny, creepy sense of growth coming up your body. And then you've got the turning. And this again, this is just the sinking. Remember the three components of yielding. You turn, you sink, and you move backwards, or the part of you that's yielding moves backwards. So my left hand would move backwards, and that would enable my right hand to move forwards. So you've got the turning, and that's again is like a wriggling. Remember we used to do that yielding exercise? The person would be trying to catch your center. You just have to slip around them all the time. And then this sense of falling backwards, falling asleep, and a sense of waking up into the future, into the distance. And now let's just try backwards and forwards. So first, let's just stand riding horse. So I'm standing with my hips facing between my feet. Yeah, so this is riding horse. I mean, normally I would have this foot like this. So I want to turn that into bow and arrow. So I just turn my front toes out and then I pull myself round. And it should feel like you've pulled a bow. So the bow that is pulled, ready to fire the arrow, is in a state of high tension. And that's how it should feel when you've got one foot forwards and you've turned your hips to face the direction of your front foot. It's wanting to spring back here all the time. So there's something in me has to maintain a tension, a pressure, just to balance its natural tendency to swing back to the corner. And again, I don't want that tension to just be a holding tension. I don't want to just hold my hips in position. I want to feel this dynamic interplay between the relaxation back here and the tension I'm having to produce to keep myself. My forwards really is another equilibrium, an equilibrium between the natural tendency to turn to the left and my own turn, sorry, to the right, and my own turn to the left here. And then we just want to be able to move backwards and forwards, constantly adjusting the tension of these two turns to maintain this look of my headlights just being forwards. And this is actually really difficult. And it's most difficult at the two extremes, when I have maximum weight in the front foot, and then when I have maximum weight in the back foot, that's when it's most difficult. So what I have to try and do is feel the activity in the emptying leg. So this leg is straightening in order to push me down and back. And then this leg bends to start pulling me forwards. And then this back leg straightens to continue me driving into the front foot and get this hip round. And then the back leg bends. And here what I'm struggling with is to really get a sense that the straightening leg is really straight. And then so when you come forwards, it's effectively push posture. And then when you go back, it's effectively repulse monkey. Really trying to straighten this leg. And then I can bend it. If it's really straight, then bending it, you feel it kicking in as it bends. And then here I really straighten the front leg. Even if that means I'm going to lean forwards like this, that's fine. So I'm straightening my front leg to drive myself as deeply into the back leg as possible. And then when I come forwards here and I'm straightening the back leg, here what I'm trying to do is force the front leg to surge up me like this. I want to feel the straightening of my back leg here, arching me backwards like this. Like the strength of the leg is pushing the heart up and out. So the two opposites, really. This is tending to bring me down like this. And then when I come forwards, it's tending to direct my arms upwards. So the spine is breathing. And I want to feel that coming from the leg. And so the more I can straighten this leg, the more it forces my spine to arch backwards. And then it's just the leg and the spine just become one beautiful curve. We tend to think of the leg having power and activity when it's full. But we know now that it's the empty leg where the real power is. So here my empty leg straightens and then bends. It's a bit like cracking a whip. You snap with your wrist and the energy cracks at the end of the whip. It's the same here. I straighten the leg and then I bend it. And that's like cracking the whip. So straight and bend. And it's this one that's important, coming into the front leg, really straightening the back leg. Because I want to feel that back leg driving my thymus up. So that's really important. Most of us are in a state of depression because we're not using the body correctly. We don't exercise enough. And the heart is down compared to where it should be. So this bit here where I really straighten the back leg, it's just lifting my thymus up. Like there's a candle flame here that's just licking upwards. Here. So this is sinking. So my sacrum is dropping and sinking, but the straightening of the back leg is allowing the sternum to lift. Yeah, they're like two bones, they're like two mirrors of a periscope. So I want this sense that there's a real reflective relationship between these two bones, my sacrum and my sternum, when I'm coming into the front foot. So here, my sacrum is sinking down, my sternum is lifting up. Let's bring it back. And traditionally, the way we come back to the equilibrium, the way we come back to the movement within the stillness is by reconnecting with the breathing. So when you're sitting there in meditation and you look really, really peaceful and still, obviously you're moving, you must be breathing. And so that's the part we concentrate on. We concentrate on that in and out, gentle in and out of the breath, and that just maintains equilibrium. It means it doesn't get set and hard, because as soon as that happens, I'll start thinking about something else. That's the only thing I can guarantee. So I have to keep the mind with the breathing. And central equilibrium is just you're breathing with the ground. So you're with gravity, you're with your own strength, and then breathing with this tendency to yield. Your response to the outside world is always to turn. You either turn towards it or you turn away from it. And then, just in a sense, it's like this is just your consciousness, really. Part of you is just wanting to just become unconscious, fall asleep. And that would require you to reel in and fall backwards, because you can't really sleep standing up. And then another part of you is maintaining vigilance and wakefulness. Okay, so let's bring it up. A mini version of the same thing. Everything's the same. And here, I just like to get this sort of this play between the heels. The real sense that the two sides of your body want to do opposite things. You want to walk. There's nothing healthier. If you're going to listen to headphones or chat to your neighbor or think about something else, you might as well not bother. So when you're walking, your mind is very much with your prowling body. Two sides of the body doing opposite things.